Good evening, you all. It is the 3rd of May. As you can tell, my voice may be staying tomorrow, may not be here tomorrow. The boys are being told that they have to take showers with soap. So, on the home front, maybe a little shenanigans, but we have international and kind of crimey crimerton news tonight. Unfortunately, our first story is um, pretty sad. Again, a sports person, so I don't really know who this guy is, but he seemed to be very cool, and he had a big yellow suit, and goodness knows that I love a yellow suit. Maybe, drunk him also spent money on a yellow suit like Nicholas. Thank you, Wolfram, for doing the mod things. Thank you, Phoenix Fire and D. Robertson, for being here. Audio Coffee, welcome. Everyone, I hope you are having a lovely evening or whatever part of the time continuum you're on. So, Larry Allen, a Cowboys legend and pro football Hall of Famer, dies at 52. Pro Football Hall of Famer Larry Allen has died, and the Dallas Cowboys announced it Monday. Allen, 52, died suddenly while in Mexico on vacation, according to the team. Larry, known for his great athleticism and incredible strength, was one of the most respected and accomplished offensive linemen ever to play in the NFL, the team said in a statement. His versatility and dependability were also signature parts of his career. Through that, he continued to serve as an inspiration for many players, defining what it meant to be a great teammate, competitor, and winner. He was deeply loved and cared for by his wife, Janelle, whom he referred to as his heart and soul, his daughters, Jayla, Lorena, and son, Larry III. The Jones family and the Cowboys extend their deepest condolences, thoughts, and prayers to Allen's family and grieve along with many other friends and Cowboy teammates that also loved Larry. Memorial service arrangements and details will be announced in the near future. Allen, who played 12 of his 14 seasons with the Dallas Cowboys, was one of the best offensive linemen in league history. This is where I confess to you that among my many sins, I grew up with an Oklahoma Sooners fan, and I still don't understand football. Like I grew up with a Vikings obsessed person and an Oklahoma obsessed person, and I'm like, okay, so what is the objection in the game here? Believe me, I'm rarely allowed to go when there's football on because I'm just like, I don't understand. Why don't you just tackle him before he throws the ball or catches the ball? But apparently, you're not supposed to tackle someone before they get the ball if you're running. I just don't understand it. I may be the only person in the Midwest that just does not understand football. He was named a first team NFL All Pro 7 times and was an 11-time Pro Bowler at guard and tackle. He helped the Cowboys win Super Bowl XXX in 1996. His dominance in both positions earned Allen a second-round draft pick out of Sonoma State in 1994, a spot on the NFL All-Decade Team in the 1990s and 2000s. After spending his final 2 NFL seasons with the San Francisco 49ers, Allen signed a one-day contract to retire with the Cowboys in 2009. 4 years later, Allen headed to Canton, Ohio as a first ballot inductee into the Hall of Fame. So I am so sorry for, his family and friends. Well, it seems like the smart idea. Apparently, that's illegal. I'm like, daggone. Oh, I bless those band kids. You are in 100% polyester, and y'all know if you are from the Midwest that August is just like putting yourself in a moist, wet sauna, and those poor kiddos with all the freaking polyester just sweating buckets. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad that neither of my girl children want to do that right now, and my 3rd girl child would not like she doesn't wanna do band or anything, so, in really interesting news that, actually has more to do with my state, and I think Kaiser and I might try to do a deep dive on this. This is a crazy, crazy, story from Indiana. Now, it got a little bit of hype because, uh, basically the 10,000, body parts could be from multiple parts from or from the same person. So, it doesn't look like there's 10,000 humans, because I mean, that would be a really sick, disgusting, you know, achievement, but this story is one I have pegged in for more research for Indiana Weird, but for years, a peaceful million-dollar farm in Indiana held a dark secret. It was a serial killer's playground. When cops finally raided Herb Baumeister's 18-acre property in Westfield, north of Indianapolis, they uncovered some more than 100 10,000 pieces of human remains. Now, mostly these remains were crushed and burned, and so these are skeletal fragments. I I believe that the numbers were up in the hundreds, but not to the thousands for this personal, or for this gentleman's personal kind of scorecard. Uh, of teenage boys and young men whom he had abducted and unalived in the 1980s to 1990s. Nearly 30 years after Baumeister unalived himself while on the run from police, authorities are still sifting through remains and identifying victims. Hamilton County coroner announced last month that human remains uncovered from Baumeister's Fox Hollow farm in 1996 were positively identified as those of Jeffrey J. Jones, who went missing in 1993. Four additional DNA profiles found at the Baumeister property have not been identified, bringing the total number of his victims to 12, Hamilton County Coroner Jeff Jellison said. Because many of the remains were found, so this is the gentleman who had a wife as a beard, but, I think he was not heterosexual, and he didn't want his wife finding out that he was, going out to meet gentlemen callers, so, he had to, like, tell the truth or unalive people, and he chose the John Wayne Gacy way. Let's see. Because of many of the remains were found crushed and burned, this investigation is extremely challenging. However, the team of law enforcement and forensic specialists working the case remain committed, Jellison say. Baumeister, a businessman and married father of three, hunted gay teens and men in central Indiana beginning at least in 1980. He is believed to have killed at least 25 people, Fox News Digital reported. He reportedly used the name Brian Smart and targeted young gay men he met at bars. Yeah, Kaiser was saying something about his house allegedly is haunted now, or the house he used to live at. Jones was the third victim identified by the coroner's office in the last 6 months. Before him, officials identified Alan Livingston, who was 27 when he went missing in August 1993, and Manuel Rendenzes, who was 34 when he vanished in 1996. Baumeister, who had moved into the farmstead with his family in 1988, used its sprawling yard and adjacent trail to hide thousands of decomposed remains until his teenage son discovered a human skull and brought it to his mother. Yeah, this story is way cray cray. The boy finds a head and he's like, "Mom, I don't know, but maybe we're being built on like an ancient pet cemetery." And yeah, things kind of went downhill for him after, his son found the human skull. And I mean, this property is huge. It's huge and it backs up to all sorts of trees. So it really is a slog to try to find things, not to mention he was a fairly organized, you know, unaliver, if you will. So he went to extra measures to break and burn and destroy evidence. He just, well, I guess between body like 24 and 25, he was like YOLO and just throw it in the I don't know. I don't understand. His wife, who initially blocked law enforcement from searching their property, later divorced her husband as more evidence began to pile up against him. Authorities eventually searched the property when Baumeister wasn't home and found the bodies of several victims. Baumeister, who was 49 at the time, fled to Ontario, Kansas in 1996 after a warrant was issued for his arrest and later fatally ended himself. He was never charged with the murders, and he did not to admit to any of the crimes in his self-deletion note. The remaining unidentified bones and bone fragments have been sitting in storage until decided it was time to reopen the case in 1996, according to WRTV. The Hamilton County Coroner's Office, along with the FBI, Indiana State Police Laboratory, Dr. Krista Latham of Biology and Anthropology Department at University of Indianapolis, and the DNA experts from Texas-based Orthom lab are working to identify additional remains. Now, the Orthom lab is holy fazoli's awesome because basically they're taking if you can't quite get a full DNA match, what they can do is try to pull, partial or closely related matches from genealogy websites, and I believe this is also the forensic lab that with DNA and sort of guessing your general phenotype can start making, some sort of reconstruction with, the face. So I am so glad that they're finally working more on this. I know that some of these families have been waiting forever just to hear that their sons, were okay or put them to rest. So I I applaud one thing my state is doing okay is trying to find, a name, a face, and, a family to go with these people because no one deserved to go out like that. In other news, in an update, like I said, this is pretty much serial offenders nightly newsy news tonight. The stepfather who told cops he thought Magdalena Kokokari was in her room is convicted for failing to report a disappearance. Now, if this man doesn't look like the crypt keeper and this beautiful young girl, thus far, neither the mother or the father take any credit for noticing where this child went. They both point the blame at the other, saying that either one should have called the cops to tell them that, "Hey, this child is missing." So they are both looking hella shady as we speak, and I'm at least glad that we are you know what? Maybe if he's in prison for a little bit, he'll break 'cause, this little girl needs to be found, just if it just gives her family, peace. Jurors reportedly took a mere 15 minutes to convict a North Carolina stepfather for failing to report a young girl missing, but that leaves the key question unanswered. Where is Magdalena Kokojari? The child was last seen on surveillance footage leaving the school bus for her home in the town of Cornelius on November 21st, 2002. And it was not until the middle of the following months that authorities discovered her disappearance because she kept being absent from school. So this case is looking like you have sus on both sides. The mom is blaming the stepdad is blaming the wife, and there seems to be a, 5 to 7 day period where they just both, thought the kid was with someone else. This is weird. Oh my gosh. It is insane. Scrutiny quickly fell on her mother, Diana Kokojari, and her stepfather, Christopher Palmiter, who were charged with failing to report her missing. Cops accused the couple of withholding information. The criminal case against the couple reached their conclusion this month, with Diana pleading guilty and Palmiter losing his trial. His defense lawyer, Brandon Roseman, maintained the stepfather's innocent in Magdalena's case. You hear the state you heard the state say that Palmiter was her father, Roseman said in closing arguments, according to Charlotte NBC affiliate WCNC. Yes, Palmiter wanted to be her father. He loved her and wants her back. He just doesn't know where she is. Diana never told him. As previously reported, Diana Kokojari allegedly told cops that the last time she saw her daughter was on November 23rd, 2022, and that she went to check on her room on November 24th, which was Thanksgiving. Magdalena was not in her room. Diana Kokojari said she waited until Saturday, November 26th at 7 p.m. when Christopher Palmiter returned home from a Michigan road trip before asking if he knew where Magdalena was, police report. Where this, y'all, no. Something very shifty is going on, and I don't know. Uh, Palmiter claimed not to know and he asked Diana the same question. Defendant Coco Jari allegedly said, I, the affiant, asked Diana why she did not report Magdalena missing until now. Authorities said Diana was worried it might cause a conflict between her and Christopher. Magdalena went missing at age 13 and she would, or I'm sorry, 11, and she would be 13 now. Palmiter's defense painted Diana Kokojari as controlling and manipulative. Roseman reportedly said that it appeared that Diana Kokojari planned on leaving town based on $8,000 and a passport authorities discovered in her purse. During the early days of Magdalena's disappearance, the mother kept Palmiter in the dark by claiming that Magdalena was sick in her own room. The defense maintained Diana Kokojari placed Flonase around the home to make Palmiter think that Magdalena was sick, and she stopped him from bringing a slice of pizza to the child, instead taking it and saying she would bring it herself. A juror saw a video in which Palmiter told the cops he believed Magdalena was in her room after he returned from his road trip. The state emphasized Palmiter's own legal responsibility to caring for Magdalena. Jurors should find him guilty if he did not know Magdalena's whereabouts and had no contact with her for more than 24 hours. Now, to give them the best, benefit of the doubt, if you are a fairly and I think this was a fairly new marriage, a stepdad might not be as, you know, maybe willing to rock the boat, kind of let the kid know that, "Hey, I also care about you, I'd like to see you every day, at least to make sure you're still there." But that being said, my gut instinct says these 2 are dirty as the day is long. And again, this is not legal and or life guru advice. Everything I say, just take it for granted that it's a person that loves to wear wigs and is a former theater kid. So take that for what you will. He is the only father she ever had, the state said, since Palmiter already spent about 8 months in jail. The judge suspended a sentence of 6 to 17 months behind bars, but put him on 30 months of supervised probation. At the time of her guilty plea, Diana Kokojari, already having spent maximum time behind bars, she acknowledged at her hearing that she likely faces deportation back to her birth nation of Moldova, and she did not testify in her ex-husband's trial. So, I don't know. And Squabob, thank you for gifting a membership that went to JKD Buck. So, thank you so much. Um, in all of my sadness, because look, I might have had a sort of George Michael crush on this particular actor. Look, I was very saddened when George Michael wasn't going to be playing for my team. Not that I had any chance with him, but just to keep the dream alive. Anyways, apparently this guy is a total D-bag. Allegedly, Your Honor. Allegedly. Terrible Zachary Quinto banned from restaurant for allegedly acting like an entitled child and making a host cry. I mean, well, the way you disrespected and warped the narrative with your Star Wars. I mean, really, you want to get all high and mighty with your Star Trek thing where you basically wrecked Khan with a retcon. Yeah. Uh, Spock has a new enemy. Star Trek actor Zachary Quinto was blasted by a Toronto restaurant for allegedly mistreating the staff and causing a scene in front of other customers. Manita, described as a Mediterranean-ish bistro, went after Quinto 47 on Instagram Sunday. And thank you, D. Robertson, for gifting a membership, and that went to Danielle. So congratulations, Danielle, and thank D. Robertson. Let's see. It's a Mediterranean-ish bistro. Uh, I have no idea what that means, but I'm sure expensive. Zachary Quinto, an amazing Spock, but a terrible customer. A statement on the restaurant's Instagram story began, yelled at our staff like an entitled child after he didn't reply to two texts to inform him that his table was ready and refused to believe the empty tables in the dining room weren't available for him despite being politely informed they were spoken for, made our host cry and the rest of our brunch diners uncomfortable. Mr. Quinto, take your bad vibes somewhere else. We have many lovely celebrities join us at Manito, but you are not one of them. Uh, this is actually a red wig. Um, so it is it is a more subdued red, but it's definitely a lot longer than my hair. I wish my hair was this long. Now, in y'all, some days stories just line up, and dear Lord, some days they just light up. Serial unaliver Robert Picton, who brought dozens of female victims to his pig farm, has unfortunately been unalived by, well, prison justice, if you will. Oh, you're fine. No big deal. Let's see here. The notorious Canadian serial unaliver who lured women uh, who lured women to his pig farm, died Friday almost 2 weeks after a fellow inmate viciously attacked him. Robert Picton, 74, had been clinging to life but was not expected to survive since he was speared in the head with a broken broom handle. I mean, that'll do it. I mean, that could possibly be one of those no-go situations, a broken broom handle through the cranial capsule. I think that'll do it, and I'm not a doctor, but, let's see. On May 19th, while in an in a segregated intervention unit at the maximum security Port Cartier, institution, a 51-year-old inmate is in custody for the assault on Picton, police spokesperson Hughes, Beaulieu said early this month. The sister of one of Picton's victims celebrated the unaliving, saying his slaying means she can finally move on. Quote, "This is going to bring healing for, I won't say all families, I'll just say most families." Cynthia Cardinal, who lost her sister, Georgina Papin, to Picton's violence. I'm like, wow, finally, I can move on and heal and put this behind me. It's not clear why the unnamed targeted or inmate targeted Picton, but the attacker had done a stint in solitary confinement for previous assaults on other inmates. Yeah, I mean, the slaying is under investigation. The investigation will examine all the facts and circumstances surrounding the assault, including whether policies and protocols were followed, the service said in the statement. We are mindful that this offender's case has had a devastating impact on communities in British Columbia and across the country. So basically, what Robert was doing, as you can tell somewhat by the photograph, he wasn't super up on the personal hygiene, but he and his brother had inherited this big parcel of land, and I believe they sold some off, and the older brother, I believe, because there's 2 Picton brothers, would have, like, hex angels if and all sorts of crazy, marching powder, hog roasts and things like that. Well, Robert would pay for affection of some women, because, he didn't have quite the social skills, and when it morphed into, a hostile kind of environment, I don't know, but they did prey upon women who may be a little bit more of in a dangerous lifestyle, so and it is alleged, though I hope to God it is not true, that since they both would, contribute pigs to pig roasts, it is alleged that possibly some long pig was served in Canada. Yikes. Picton was convicted in 2007 of, uh, unaliving drug addicts and women of the night and butchering their remains at his Port Qualtum pig farm in the Pacific Province of British Columbia. One second, my youngest son left the door open, and all I can do is hear them being crazy. So one second. All right, we're back. Let's see here. Investigators found partial remains of 6 women: Papin, Serena Abasway, Mona Wilson, Andrea Josbury, Brenda Ann Wolfe, and Marnie Frey on his ramshackle property, with prosecutors believing that the sicko unalived them during a crime spree in the late 1990s and early 2000s. Remains or DNA of 33 other women were found on the farm, and Picton once bragged to an undercover police officer that he had unalived a total of 49 women. Picton admitted to strangling his victims and feeding their remains to his pigs, prompting health officials to issue a tainted meat advisory to neighbors who might have bought pork from the Picton farm. Ooh, good lord. Uh, yes, sort of. I don't know how much of this was in with his brother's thing, and, you know, like a normal human being, I listen to true crime going to sleep, so I might have been halfway asleep, but it definitely was like the they were it was the first time they've come into a lot of money. One brother ended up getting involved in biker gangs, and oddly enough, the police department. So it's really, really odd. The whole thing is odd. Oh, and thank you, Squaw Bob, for gifting a membership, and that went to Copper Norman Dupowski. Or look, I tried the last name. Let's ugh, I y'all know me and my names. The serial unaliver was also charged with an additional 20 murders, but the charges were dropped after he was sentenced to life in prison. So, again, there's a lot going on in this story, and I think we're gonna learn a lot more. And while we're on a roll, we will, go ahead and get to this because I never thought I would see the day, but, it's getting close. The son of Sam killer, David Berkowitz, was denied parole in a 12th attempt. Now, at some point, I would think you would just realize you're not getting out, but I guess, wow, does he look a lot different? Well, I mean, assuming that he's older, probably didn't have the fro anymore. Infamous son of Sam serial killer David Berkowitz was denied parole for the 12th time last week, according to online records. Berkowitz, age 70, has been in prison since he was arrested on August 10th, 1977, for the senseless killings of 6 people during his reign of terror in New York between 1976 and 1977. He was given multiple life sentences and became eligible for parole in 2020, or no, 2002, with parole board hearings every 2 years since. I mean, sir, I would just go ahead and put a pin in that. I don't think even with all your frequent flyer points, you are going to get out of the prison. I mean, it's just an educated guess. A parole board once again decided to keep him behind bars last week, according to records. Ahead of the board's decision, the convicted unaliver told the Post that he knew he had zero chance of getting out, but would attend the hearing regardless. To not attend a hearing can be viewed as being defiant towards authority, and that's not me, Berkowitz said. Well, yeah, you did listen to a dog when it told you what to do. So, you're very compliant with all the voices in your head. Um, Berkowitz said, most of all, I intend in order to openly apologize for my past crimes and to express my remorse, he said. The killer's past crimes include randomly, shooting young women and couples sitting in parked cars across the Big Apple, terrorizing residents and sending the city into a panic over a 9-month period. He became known as the 44. Nothing like your youngest, most feral saying, well, your cat got on the counter and he's trying to eat the chicken. I mean, you know. You can't win for losing sometimes. He became known as the 44 caliber killer for his weapon of choice in the unprovoked unalivings before he began to call himself the son of Sam in notes left at the scene and letters to the tabloids. He later said his neighbor's Sam's dog ordered him to go on the, spree. Uh, I am a monster. I am son of Sam, bragged Berkowitz in a note left near the bodies of Alexander, Esau, and Valentina Serrani, 18, on April 17th, 1977. I love to hunt, prowling the streets looking for fair game, tasty meat, he said of his victims, who were often young women with long dark hair and couples sitting in cars. Fear over the random murders caused New York women to cut their hair short and buy blonde wigs. I mean, anything that increases wig, buying. But no, they tracked him. Let's see. Investigators finally got a lead in the killings through parking tickets that placed Berkowitz's car near the crime scene of his last murder around the time of the shooting. They tracked him to his Yonkers home and arrested him. I am Sam, David Berkowitz told the police. What took you so long? Since being locked up, Berkowitz has become a Christian and dedicated his life to Jesus and the mentorship of new inmates who said he said see him as a father figure. Yes, I have a life sentence to do, but I choose to do it well. I always try to help and encourage the younger guys. I mean, it well, from the sound of it, he seems fairly reserved and fairly self-aware that he is, here for life. So I agree, but I think that he also did state, and this could be, some of this superficial charm that and kind of charisma that some offenders seem to have. This could be him just playing up his thing, but I just I don't see this being I don't know. I'm not here to judge his redemption. But I don't think he's safe to be out. So, if he's doing a good job and really, helping other people, then maybe he has had redemption. So, I don't know. I'm not here to judge. I'm not the world's best Christian, so I can't tell you. In other shenanigans and e-tradery, uh, E-Trade reportedly weighs a ban on Roaring Kitty after meme trader reveals a $116 million GameStop bet. Now, as we already know, math is not a friend of mine. I barely understand what the heck is going on with stocks, to be real honest. E-Trade is reportedly considering a ban on Roaring Kitty after the famed meme stock trader once again said GameStop shares surging dramatically on Monday, according to a report. Shortly before he sparked a renewed trading frenzy in GameStop shares last month, Roaring Kitty, whose legal name is Keith Gill. Well, I was kind of hoping his real name would be Roaring Kitty. Damn. We were almost there. Bought a large volume of GameStop or options on E-Trade, the Wall Street Journal reported on Monday, citing an unnamed source. This past week, Gill posted a screenshot of his account showing he owns $116 million worth of GameStop stock, as well as a new trove of options that inspire in later this month. His total gains on the position at 6.86 million, according to the screenshot. I have no idea. Oh, well, that's good. I need to find a math specialist because I'm that rare, grammar, spelling, and general mathing outlaw. Gil, also known as on Reddit as Deep Effing Value, uh, who goes by Roaring Kitty on X and YouTube, sent GameStop shares soaring 75% in early trading Monday with his latest post. The share closed 21% higher. I mean, he looks kind of like, Runkle of the Bailey. I'm just saying, these elves, they live a long time. They know. They know all the secrets. We stand elves and their very long life here. Nevertheless, the wild moves have sparked market manipulation concerns at E-Trade, according to the Journal, with executives at Morgan Stanley-owned day trading platform concerned that the outsized power Gil can wield over markets for his own benefit, according to the report. Why is it not cool when this elf with a cat poster behind him, tries to get some money for us little people? I mean, come on now. Why why is it that, Nancy Pelosi can trade in Nvidia stock right after she signed the CHIP Act, or right before she signed the CHIP Act, she knew it was coming down the pike. She suddenly got Nvidia card, graphical thingamabobs. Y'all know me and Nancy Pelosi have no idea what, image graphic cards are. We were like, no, I don't like Caesar salad." We're a bit confused, but it seems to be okay when the big guy does the market shenanigans that, well, trip up the little guy, but when the little guy does it, absolutely cannot happen. It's all unlegal. It's so ridiculous. So there you go. If you Zach for 199, you can stop super chatting anytime you want. I believe y'all y'all know I am trying to give up so much sugar, and my body is like, um, no, this is this is this is not good. But anyhow, if if you understand what is going on with trading, apparently GameStop and the shanties will continue until the government shuts us down, or you down. I don't do the stock market. In a kind of follow-up story that has kind of gone under the radar with everything else, the Karen Reed and all of that going on, apparently Gabby Petito's mom and stepmom sent a not so subtle message to Roberta Landry. Uh, Definitely, in my humble opinion, this family knew that he was maybe on the edge of something. I believe they had many more, uh, warning signs and red flags than I will try that. Really, just if given a chance, I would eat anything sweet, and I have to be much more firm with myself now because I can't work out as much, so it's all a learning curve, but I will keep that in mind. Now, I do think that the Landrys knew at least of the darker proclivities. I'm not gonna go ahead and say here that he had the trifecta of these serial people, the hurting animals, weird relationship with mom, and then bedwetting, but I think they knew a little bit of what could go on, and the fact that they didn't, say, "Hey, let Gabby go, and, let's come home," you've already got some, uh, you already are kind of being placed into a domestic sort of situation with police being there. You know, I wish they would have just told him, "Hey, come home, it's okay. You might not be, good for each other, but you'll be good for someone else if you work on yourself." But that, alas, did not happen. Gabby Petito's mom and stepmom torched Landry's mother over the weekend with matching T-shirts they hope will raise money for domestic violence women and missing person awareness. The fiery message is a swipe at Roberta Landry's so-called, quote, "burn after reading letter," in which she pledged to help her son with a shovel and garbage bags. What is no. Nicole Schmidt and Tara Petito took part in a panel at CrimeCon 2024 in Nashville, Tennessee, Friday, where they delivered victims' impact statements that were denied to them, to be read in court after Brian Laundrie ran away from justice and self-deleted in a swamp. Ooh, that sounds really good, and I know honey is supposed to soothe your throat. Like I said, one of these chiclets brought home, I don't know, there is nothing worse than a summer cold. I don't know, it is like nature taunts you with the sunlight and everything, and you cannot feel worse. Let's see here. Schmidt made waves with the audience when she forgave her daughter's killer, only to skewer his mother moments later. Yeah, I'd have words for the mom too. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I speak for myself here when I say, Brian, I forgive you, Schmidt said. I needed to release myself from the chains of anger and bitterness, and I refuse to let your despicable act define the rest of my life. Then she turned to his mother. As for you, Roberta, and I shall call you out individually because you were evidently the mastermind that shattered your family and mine with your evil ways. I see no empathy in your eyes. Whoa, talk about Mike and this she's gonna need some aloe because this is gonna burn. No remorse in your heart and no willingness to take responsibility for your actions. Tara Petito also delivered remarks wearing the same shirt. The family is selling limited runs of teas on Gabby Petito Foundation website in order to raise money for the fight against domestic violence. Both moms wore matching T-shirts in a swipe at Roberta Landry, who wrote an infamous letter bearing the phrase. Gabby Petito and Brian Landry left home on a cross-country tour of national parks in 2021 that she planned to chronicle on a social media platform. Petito stopped posting to her Instagram in late August. Landry came home early, driving her van without her from Wyoming to Florida and pulled into his parents' driveway on September 1st. And she was a lovely young lady. And, you shouldn't have to gamble with your life if you made, the wrong choice with, your partner. Probably true. I will have to look at those. I yuck to I can deal with menthol, it's the licorice that I'm just but I'm a 12-year-old, and I need to expand my palate and all that stuff. I wonder what I'm going to be when I grow up. His family went camping at Fort DeSoto Park, south of St. Petersburg, with his parents, his sister, and her children. No, the letter surfaced as part of a civil lawsuit against the Petitos and Landry's families, with the Petito Schmidt side accusing Chris and Roberta Landry of withholding information about the murder and trying to help their son escape justice. The parties settled out of court earlier this year. Quote, I want you to remember I will always love you, and I know you will always love me. You are my boy. Nothing can make me stop loving you. Nothing can or ever will divide us, no matter what we do or where we go or what we say. We will always love each other. If you are in jail, I will bake you a cake and put a file in it. Ma'am, ugh, of all the enabling redonkulousness, I will show up with a shovel and garbage bags, Roberta Landry wrote in a letter. Now, Miss Roberta, if I could call you that, we have this policy where we don't write our crimes down, and you are trying to be all accessory after the facty, okay? As a non-legal lawyer, you're, third party intervener, if you will. Do not write this crap. What in the heck? Look, I get loving your son despite the despicable thing he did, but this is more enabling of your son who probably didn't grow up. Zach, for 199, I only super chat on weekends. You oh, dear Lord. Okay. All right. No more pixie sticks for Zach. I will just have to bring him down with my, anti-grammar. Uh, if you fly to the moon, I will be watching the skies for your re-entry. If you say you hate my guts, I will get new guts. Remember that love is a verb, not a noun, and it's not a thing, it's not words, it's actions. People people's actions let you know if they love you, not their words. Ma'am, your son gave a sustained neck hug to a chick until she lost her life, to his girlfriend. Explain to me how that's love. And I get it, but there is a part that you seem to have forgotten on this parenting, train, if you will, is that sometimes no matter how good you done, people need to face consequences for their actions. And it doesn't sound like Brian ever had to face any with you. And I mean, that could just be me judging you, but oh my goodness, really, it's just gross. I wish she wouldn't have done that, but again, I can understand if it's your son, it's not easy. Now, for some uplifting and no more, serial unalivers news, Georgia grandma, 85, graduates high school with an honorary diploma. I'm really thankful to God. I love old people, and they're cute and sweet and, you know, making their dreams come true. An 85-year-old Georgia woman graduated from high school on Saturday, 67 years after her original would-be graduation date, in front of her family and community she steadily serves. Shirley Smith of Americus was shocked to find on her 85th birthday that she would receive an honorary high school diploma thanks to Eric Fitch, chief of police at the Montezuma Police Department, for her dedication to her family and unabated support for their education over the years. I'm thankful, Smith told Fox News Digital in a video interview. I think it's an honor and I think it's a blessing. Smith grew up on a tobacco farm in Wilmington, North Carolina in 1956. Her father was pressed with the challenge of earning more in order to raise his 6 children after tobacco rates fell. Smith and her siblings were then uprooted to Somerville, New Jersey. I was going to be in the 10th grade, and I told him the biggest mistake that I made, I think, was telling him that I didn't want to go to school, Smith said. And he said, fine, then go to work. First, she took a job at a dry cleaner's, then at a pocketbook factory. Shortly thereafter, she got married and started a family of her own, later moving them to Georgia. Though she considered vocational school a few times, her goals of caring for her children and raising her family took precedence over a degree, she said. Smith said education was a priority in her home, however, and that if her children were going to live under her roof, they would receive an education. They did not seem to mind. Matter of fact, they cried to go to school. Even when it was snowing, they wanted to go to school, she said. Today, Smith is beaming with pride as she watched her children and grandchildren receive their education from Texas A&M, Montclair University, California State University, Fullerton, University of Tampa, and University of Mississippi, among other schools. Her family is equally proud of her for a lifetime of accomplishments and feels she is more than deserving of the honor. My Nana never missed a high school or college graduation. for any of her children or grandchildren. Brianna Thompson of Tampa, Florida, a granddaughter of Smith's, told Fox News Digital, I couldn't be more honored and inspired. She always taught us to chase our dreams, and all things are possible if you keep your faith in God. Smith is a dedicated churchgoer who has spent the last decades as a faithful Baptist working in and around her communities as a missionary where she was committed to caring for the sick and poor. I had family members that encouraged me to trust God, Smith said. She added her family never went without shelter, food, or clothing. We always had decent places to stay, and I just held on to my faith. I mean, look at this. She just walked and she took it, and oh, grandma and granddaughter, you have no idea. I would be, well, sort of. I mean, David Berkowitz seemed like he's changed a little bit, and Robert Picton was, sometimes Gen Pop justice just is a thing. Smith credits God for her diploma as she believes his plan and work through others is the reason those who have experience versus education still have the ability to be rewarded for their timeless efforts in life. I'm really appreciative and I'm really thankful to God, she said. I always try to figure out what do people see in me. I draw people no matter what color they are, who they are, I just draw people. Tan Galia Robinson of California, a daughter of Smith, said that Finch, the police chief, was inspired by the heartfelt warmth spoken at her milestone birthday party. A red velvet cake was shared, and she was admired for her work as a mother and a faithful steward. He felt like it was robbery to not give her a diploma, Robinson said. And look, I mean, this is what I want to do with my life, just have all the grandchildren and all of, the kiddos, and I'm just gonna go to all of their special things. You have no idea. I probably will be the loud, opinionated one, even if my future grandchildren do know how to play football. I'll be like, "Catch him before he hits the ball," and I was like, "Granny, that's not allowed, it's illegal, and no, I can't, rough him up a bit like it's, freaking hockey." Be like, "Oh, let's see here. In regards to next steps and the prospect of college, Smith laughed. Uh, she said she's instead preparing to meet her maker. I'm getting ready to go to heaven. That's what I'm getting ready to do, she said with a smile. I'm going to get my reward from him. What a sweet older woman. And don't let anyone tell you that you're too old or too young to try, you know, to go for your dream. Now, in full Schwazerness, I don't know what this is, but this sounds like it's either gonna be really good or really terrible. Swicy drinks are heating up at the summer's surprising big food trend. This isn't a fad. Now, I don't know what Swicy is, but okay. Swicy treats are heating up. Spice up your life. Spicy, a mashup of sweet and spicy, is this summer's blazing new food trend, with brands scrambling to make their way into the movement, perhaps a surprising one for hot winter days. The spicy trend is here to stay. Sally Lyons Wyatt, packaged goods and food service industry advisor with the market research firm Circana, told CNN. Okay, well, I guess use your Swayzer to get you some spicy stuff, and then make sure you don't have the bubble guts. I don't know. I think we're going to see a lot more of this, she added. There is a push now, and we do see both unit and dollar growth of the spicy and spicy products. Starbucks is just one of many coming in hot with new menu items, introducing three new spicy lemonade refreshers in April, which the company said were inspired by the spicy trend, which combines sweet and spicy flavors in all sorts of creative ways. Eh, okay. The coffee chain is also spicing things up with wildflower honey infused with premium chili peppers in their Starbucks Reserved. Okay, what? Starbucks Reserve Roasters and selected stores in Chicago, New York City, and Seattle, adding the hot honey affogato and hot honey espresso martini to the menu. In February, Coca-Cola released a spiced version of its recipe, resulting in growing interest in spice. If you go to the aisles, you'll see the amount of spiciness has gone up because consumers' taste palettes have evolved. We realized that we could be in an opportunity. Coca-Cola North American marketing chief Sadiker Moen told Associated Press at the time. Eh, I mean, spicy, it sounds fun, but ooh, I don't know. Lyons Wyatt said that younger millennials, Gen Zers, and Gen Alpha are the cohorts seeking out the spice, and Sarkana found that 11% of 25-year-olds to 34-year-olds enjoy bold flavors, up to 7 percentage points up from 2019. This is partially due to growing diversity in America and wider ranges of ingredients being introduced. Jennifer Creevy, director of food and drink at trend forecasting and analytics firm WGSN, told CNN, take the rise of K-drama and K-pop as an example. Fans of this entertainment want to consume the media but also want to taste the flavors of Korea, hence the rise of spicy goyang, which is now in everything from dishes to snacks and drinks and desserts. In addition, according to Versace's Singh, food service analyst with Mintel, the stereotype that American palates are bland is a misconception, and this trend proves it. There are certainly an expanded appetite for spicy foods and flavors, one that's driven by wanting to explore unfamiliar ingredients and cuisines, Singh told CNN. This enthusiasm isn't a fad, it's here to stay. I mean, okay, now if this is pepperoni, sausage, and bell pepper, I'm there. Or not bell pepper, banana pepper, because I love that. Oh, interesting. I will have to look at all this. Y'all know that one friend who may be closing in on the 40, but will just order chicken fingers wherever you go? I'm trying to expand my palate, but my palate's like, we know that we like chicken fingers, and it's very hard to mess those up. There's certainly an okay. Lyons Wyatt said consumers can expect to see more spice in all aisles from of the grocery store, frozen foods, drinks, ice cream, chips, and so on. My whole motto for a couple years has been the hotter the better because consumers gravitate to it. Traditionally, it was younger consumers that were driving this, but now we're seeing bold flavors being embraced by most age groups, but the dominant are still younger consumers. So there you go. Let's give, Swicy a try. I am going to send you guys over to Shizzy. I am going to make sure I have a full drink and then get back on with him. I think we are doing What the Hails tonight. And then I think we're moving on to new material tomorrow night. So I will see you guys in just a little bit. Let me uh, bio break and other such things. Have a lovely evening or wherever in the world and what time you happen to be. And I will see you in the morning at 8 a.m. So bye, guys.